You know how when you make up your mind about something, maybe you think you got a psychic hit on something, or maybe you just came to a conclusion. Politicians do it all the time. So do scientists. Anyone who spends a lot of time thinking about things, it's a very common thing that they come to a conclusion about something. They come to conclusions about things wanted, and they come to conclusions about things not wanted. And then they revel in the evidence that supports the conclusion that they've come to. We think that is just the funniest thing that you do. You come to a conclusion of something that you don't want, and then you celebrate every time you see evidence that supports this thing you don't want. And you go, aha, I knew it. And we say, aha, you're creating it. You're creating it. So what you want to do is create this feeling of well-being, and then watch for the evidence that supports it. And when you see it, aha, I knew it. I felt that coming. I knew that was coming, you see. Yeah. There are so many people out here on the manifested edge, sifting through the details of what's manifested and getting into that state of confusion that we were talking about earlier, where it's so much simpler to work at the basis of the general basis of the emotion that you want to feel. And friends, it's got to be easier than you're making it, because every single thing that you want, no matter what it is, material object, a pile of money, a relationship, a circumstance or an event, a movement in the political arena, everything that you want, no matter what, without exception, always has been, always will be, for one reason. You think you will feel better when it happens. You think you will feel better. And if we can just convince you here today that you have the power within you to conjure the feeling better now before it happens, to not need it to happen before you conjure the feeling of it, that you can get general enough to find the essence of the feeling of what you want, you will have created a vibrational grid that will fill in with the details to support what you have accomplished every time. And that's what deliberate creation is at its best. Now, there's nothing wrong with creating stuff you don't want, because how do you know what you do want if you don't create some of what you don't want? How do you know that you want more money flowing until you've really experienced some shortage? How do you really know that? How do you know who you like to hang around with until you've hung around with some that you've really not enjoyed all that much? How do you know? How do you know what you like to eat until you've eaten around enough to know what tastes good to you? You get to define all of that. We're not trying to get you to go in one direction or another on anything. We just want you to know that you have enough contrast around you, enough variety, enough buffets on enough different subjects, that you have already very well established. You've determined clearly who you are and what you want, and that resides in a vibrational vortex that is calling you. But you can't get to the specifics of that magnificent vortex if you are vibrationally out of whack. So, now stay with us, because this is new. Those specifics of that vortex have been coming into being over a long period of time, meaning the length of your physical experience and even before. In other words, you've been putting those details there. And each time you move to a new idea of what you prefer, your vortex becomes it, and your inner being becomes it and is it, and holds the vibrational tone, the vibrational latitude, the vibrational place marker, holds the vibrational space for it, you see. So here's this very specific thing that has happened. We don't think we know for sure that if you were able to look into your vortex, it would take you more than this lifetime just to articulate the details of what's in there. It's that much specific detail of really amazing, wonderful stuff, each and every bit of it pleasing to you when you get there. So just take our word for it. It's really good, and it's really specific. So when you're out here specifically focused upon the absence of this specific stuff you've put there, you couldn't be further from allowing yourself the law of attraction's help in bringing you what you want. But if you will not be specific, but instead say, this specific is making me crazy. This focusing on what I want when I don't know how to do it or how to accomplish it is making me crazy. I'm just going to go general. and you deliberately bring yourself to this general place where you talk about things like general well-being, like the earth turning in its orbit, like the sun coming up every day and it's not even on your things to do today list, like you breathing all night long without a machine that's making you breathe, and like your blood's pumping, and like your metabolism is working, and like things are working in your environment, and the garbage truck does come every Monday just like it is supposed to. As you focus upon these general things of well-being, the general things of well-being, until you reestablish within yourself this feeling of well-being, you can move from that general feeling of well-being right into the specifics of your vortex. You can move right in there, but you can't get there from the specifics of what's not working. And that's why every conversation that we've had here today, we're just trying to get you to stop trying to manipulate the manifestation in order to be happy. We've said to you for years, if you will leave the money out of the equation, more than you will have time to spend will flow into your experience. And people think that twists their brain into a knot. What do you mean? Leave money out of the equation. How could I leave money out of the equation? We say by making other things more important, by making it more important how you feel when you sit on the beach and it didn't cost you any money. And don't tell us the glass cost money. We know you can argue your way out of alignment anytime you want, but by looking for the evidence of things that are working. That's what you got to do. Look for the evidence of things that are working. And the most important thing that you have going is that you have the ability to move your mind in a way that gives you a feeling of ease without any manifestation happening in the moment. You can be happy before the wedding. You can be happy before your 15-year-old does what you think he needs to do at school. You can be happy when, under any and all conditions, you can be happy. Under any and all conditions, you can be happy. Under any and all conditions, you can be happy. Under any and all conditions. But happy has to be the goal. And the condition will take a second place to it. And then the happy will cause the condition to morph. You have to decide. Are you creating what you're creating for others' adulation? Or are you creating what you're creating for your own alignment and joy? In other words, you just have to make that decision. And once you've decided it's for your own alignment and joy, and then you show yourself that no matter what, you can feel good now. No matter what, you can feel good now. No matter what, you can feel good now. And sometimes enough has to happen to make you miss not feeling good long enough that you put the feeling good as your top priority. But it's our promise. Once you put the feeling good as your top priority, everything else will fall into place because you have the ability to feel good no matter what.
When we transition and you speak about non-physical, they're here with us and it's a great ride. I'm wondering, do we ever come, is there reincarnation?
Of course.
So sometimes when we transition out of this place, we're non-physical for a while, and then when we choose to come back, we do. I'm a little unclear on that.
Well, it's all about focus. It's all about this. We're talking about ego. It's all about focus. So see if we can get closer to it for you today, because we've talked about this a lot over the years. Long before you come into this physical body, you are a consciousness who has been looking at this time-space reality, who has been participating in this time-space reality. In other words, since you are an eternal consciousness, you have to understand that you've had a lot of life experience. We have to start at a beginning place that you can really get your thoughts around. So let's start with where you are here and now. So here you are, a percentage of consciousness, all expressing in physical form. But the question is, and this is the question that humans don't ask very often, so we're going to sort of collectively ask it for you because you've set it in that direction here. The question isn't so much, am I going to come again and be physically focused, as it is, how much of all leading edge experience am I participating in? Can you feel the difference in that question? Not, will I come and be physical again? But how much am I participating in? Because all consciousness is participating in this leading edge moment in time. This is a big moment right now. There are a few hundred people in this room and a few thousand people around the planet through the live stream, but there are indefinable numbers of consciousnesses and energies that are participating in this experience here and now. Because this is a leading edge experience. This is taking thought beyond that which it has been before. And nothing is more satisfying to that which is non-physical than being in that leading edge moment where we're moving out into a new place. It's not like Source knows it and now we're teaching it to you. It's that together and collectively, as you are having your experiences and asking your questions because of your experiences, you're actually carving out new territory, and all that is moving into that new place with you, you see. That's why we call it co-creation at its best. Of course, there is specific consciousness focused into you in the personality that is known as you. In other words, you can feel who you are. Esther recognized the specific personality of Jerry in the moment that she met him. She found him unique in so many ways. That uniqueness that was Jerry still is Jerry. And that's the most exciting thing to Esther about all of that. He didn't morph into some non-physical soup where he no longer feels like Jerry, or where he just feels like even Abraham, or where Abraham just feels like Source. In other words, the specifics of the summoning that out here on the leading edge define the parameters. So think about the egg that is fertilized and the calling of that being that is forming, and the consciousness that is coming. It is a different consciousness that is with that fetus that is forming in the womb than it is the consciousness that enters the body when it is born. And it's a streaming of consciousness that is coming forth in response to the asking of the consciousness that is egotistically focused. Did you get that? Are you sort of getting the sense of what this is? So there is no ending to that which you are, and no ending to the personality that you define as you. So now we'll get to the specifics of your question. So will someone like Jerry, from his Jerry perspective, will Jerry gather himself together and be born as Jerry into another? No. But the consciousness that was Jerry, that became Jerry, is still becoming other things. And the consciousness that was Jerry in physical form and is now Jerry in non-physical form can participate in all of that. Are any of you getting Jerry? The publisher is getting him. It really surprised him. People all over the planet are sending Esther notes about their Jerry experiences, that Jerry is involved with them in this and involved with them in that. And Esther's first thought is, you must be really, really busy. But what you have to understand about non-physical consciousness is that you have the ability to focus simultaneously, where here you have the ability to focus specifically. This is specific, where non-physical is more general. Now we're getting round to this conversation again, aren't we? Non-physical is more general. You summon the specifics of it. So when a fetus is growing in a womb, it's summoning more and more specifics of consciousness. And when that first breath is taken and the consciousness enters the body, that specific consciousness becomes that personality. But it is never singular even then. It is never singular even then, because so much of the non-physical energy is flowing with it. It's a big topic, and you'll understand it more clearly from your non-physical perspective. As you become determined to feel the clarity, in other words, if you really mean it, if you really want to know, and it's really happening for Esther because she really wants to know. If you really want to know what that non-physical point of view is, enough that you are willing to work to find that emotional grid of well-being that it represents, what you will discover is that you have access to all of the solutions and all of the answers that have ever been sought. But friends, that is not enough. because old answers to old questions are not where it's at for any of us. We all want to be in on the new stuff.